You know, I wanted to make a video about Final Fantasy XVI and the evolution the series has gone through, some speculation theories about the story and what we've seen from just one trailer, right? Then you get articles like this that show up. Final Fantasy XVI announcement trailer criticized for lack of female characters, and then this article links you to this article here. Final Fantasy XVI needs women. And I'll leave the articles down below if you want to read them. I'm not going to go through word for word what they say. The idea is pretty obvious. Final Fantasy XVI trailer didn't show enough women. They're mainly talking about playable female characters, prominent story female characters, and I just gotta say that it's annoying, to be honest. Not because I don't want female characters in Final Fantasy, or because I think that they are super underrepresented, but because there's always some kind of criticism to be thrown right away. You know, we've seen one trailer, 4 minutes, and already they're coming at this game, and it blows my mind that people would jump to such conclusions, even though in the trailer we see, I mean, at least 2 female characters that seem to play some kind of big role, right? We see the little girl that's friends with Joshua. She seems to be important in some way, otherwise why would they show her like that and give her such a elaborate character design? And then you have the lady in that little dark room meeting talking about the Dalmax and the war. She seems like she's gonna play some kind of badass female role, and I don't understand where the criticism is coming from. So just kind of mention stuff here, quick summary of the trailer, and then it kind of pulls some tweets where the women, not showing any playable women, has me preemptively angry. Like, we don't know that there's only going to be the one playable character, right? We don't know that. That's just what they showed. He seems to be the main protagonist. But we don't know, is kind of what I'm trying to get here, is people are jumping to conclusions after one trailer for the game. And we should just wait. And throwing all this shade at Square Enix about how they're not representing women properly in their video games is, I don't want to say troubling, because I understand where the sentiment comes from. There's nothing wrong with having a diverse cast of playable characters, main characters, but let the developers develop, right? Creativity is crushed when you take in all this negative outside feedback. You know, you have these guys, Yoshida, Takai, who are making this game, and the entire development staff. And I highly doubt that they are thinking when they're making the game and writing the scenario and coming up with characters, let's exclude women, right? I don't think that that's what they're thinking. I think that they have a story they want to tell, they have a concept and an idea, and the characters that come with that main character happens to be male. And I don't think that we need to be getting all up in arms about that after one trailer, right? Like, give Square Enix a chance to show what this story and what the game is actually going to be. We don't even know the name of the main character. We don't even know his name, and people are freaking out because there's not enough women. And it's crazy. You know, it talks about here, Final Fantasy XVI, it's the same idea. It does talk about a good track record. So, you know, we've seen Final Fantasy XIII, 13-2, 13 Lightning Returns. It is a whole trilogy of games focused around female protagonists, right? Like, you look at 6, a lot of people talk about Terra being the main character of that. You look at 10, and while it's played from the perspective of Titus, whatever, it's very plausible to make the argument that the main character of Final Fantasy X is Yuna. the whole journey is about Yuna and the summons and the religion around their world. And then they get 10-2, which is an all-female cast. And then they come here, we scroll down a bit, and it talks about Final Fantasy XV, which was an all-male cast, right? And they do say that there's nothing wrong with that, but there needs to be a balance. Okay, so I think that's where the balance comes in. You have the 13 trilogy focused on a female protagonist for all 3 games, and then you have Final Fantasy XV focusing on male cast, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. There was a line in here. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find the exact quote from this article, but they talk about how every female character in Final Fantasy XV was overly sexualized, right? And I mean, that's just, you look at Sydney, and yeah, she's got a little bit of sexualization there. But then you look at the other female characters. Luna Freya was not sexualized. Gladiolus' sister Eris was not sexualized. Even Aranea, while she had a suggestive design, she was a badass dragoon. Like, what else could you ask for? And she was even, Luna and Aranea were going to have their own DLCs that got scrapped due to development and stuff. But that's a side note. The point is, there's not any shortage of representation, female representation in Final Fantasy. I mean, there's just not, right? I don't know how else to put it. And the fact that people are going to bash Square Enix for the creative decisions that they've made regarding this game is nerve-wracking a little bit, because the internet is so prominent and developers can see all this stuff, and because games take so long to develop and so much commitment to put together these cutscenes and create these character models and battle mechanics, it's really tough to, as a developer, look at the comments that people are throwing, look at your game, and then cast doubt on yourself about what you're doing and what you're trying to portray through the game. It's not as simple as them just saying like, oh well, let's throw in a female character because that's what all these people on Twitter are yelling about. Because if they do that, it could take away from a whole section of the story that they have to cut out, like you see in Final Fantasy XV. Development time is strenuous and it takes a long time, and you can't just add things in whenever you want. You can remove things and kind of build around that. Like, we saw with 15, there were a lot of things in even late trailers that were removed from the game entirely upon release. So it's just frustrating, because one thing it didn't include women. There were totally women that were in that trailer, and they seem to be playing a prominent role, as far as we can tell, right? I'm not gonna defend Square Enix on this specific thing with Final Fantasy XVI, because again, we don't have enough information to make these claims. We have one trailer. The game was announced like a week ago. It's just frustrating. I hope Square Enix doesn't take these accusations and criticisms to heart and alter what they have in store for this game, because I think that from what we've seen, it's going to look awesome. And if there's anybody that we should trust with developing a Final Fantasy game like this, I think Yoshi P and Final Fantasy XIV crew have proven themselves with A Realm Reborn. And we should leave creativity, creative direction, development, leave it to the developers. That's all I got. That's all I got.